The future is so bright, and our ultimate goal is to hang another banner.
Who is your superstar, Indiana Fever? You have these three incredible players on your team, Hall of Famers on your team, but you still need to know the pecking order. My point is,
killer.
There is nothing wrong with Kelsey being your go-to player and Caitlyn being your star.
What's up, Clark Nation? That is Cynthia Cooper, WNBA Hall of Famer, 4-time back-to-back WNBA champion, MVP of numerous championship finals in the W. Numerous. Played alongside of Cheryl Swoops and Tina Thompson. And at one stint, the guard was Dawn Staley. So we're talking about the best of the best of the best in the early years of the W. Okay? The early years of the W. And she's offering a crash course in how to coach a superstar. She's offering a crash course for Stephanie White how to coach a superstar like Caitlin Clark. Here is what she had to say.
Question for Indiana is, who's your superstar? Mm-hmm. That's really the question. Is Caitlyn going to be your superstar, and your Batman, and Kelsey your Robin? Mm-hmm. When last year, when Caitlyn was out, then you relied heavily on Kelsey, and you guys were one game away from making it to the finals, right? So my thing is, we talked about roles earlier. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to establish roles. Caitlyn is our go-to. This is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. This is how we're going to play, and this is how we're going to win.
Coach Stephanie White, are you listening? Are you listening, Coach Stephanie White? You remember, you speak so fondly of Dawn Staley and her former career in the W. Well, here's a Hall of Famer who was who was head and shoulders better than Dawn Staley, offering you free game, free advice on how to coach this team. You have one of the most transformational player in the game on your team. You get to see her every day at practice. You have an opportunity to positively influence this young lady's game for the betterment and the good of the W, if that's possible. For the betterment and the good of the W. You have that ability to affect this young lady's life. Right now, you're doing it backwards. According to Coach Cooper, you're doing it backwards, Stephanie. Right now, you're the way you want it, you would prefer it. Kelsey, Aaliyah, then Caitlyn. If you haven't slipped anybody else in there. We know you loaded up the roster with all these Gamecocks because you have this affinity and this love for Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley was as good as she was while she played. She's in coaching now. It is what it is. And how will you move forward in the wake of a conversation like this? Do you see this as relevant advice that you could use on how to coach this team? She's all but saying, look, you have the tools. She's going to go into more detail. You have the tools, Stephanie, to be as good as a coach and as good as a team as there is in the W right now, if you follow this advice.
You can't have not knowing who's going to take that shot or who we're going to in a crucial moment of a game, in a crucial moment of a season. You have to figure that out now. And I think that's it. For the Aces haven't been consistent, like a consistent scoring team.
Yeah.
all season. That's where their Achilles heel is. The Aces have to be able to score points on a consistent basis to consistently be head and shoulders above everyone else and to fight for a championship. Mm-hmm. Who is your superstar, Indiana Fever?
So there's your overarching question. That Stephanie White, it appears, is afraid to say this in the locker room, to say this in Game Bridge in front of the entire team for fear of losing the team, for fear of hurting someone's feelings, for fear of thinking someone is going to get into their feelings and they're not going to do what they're supposed to do. And these are all professional players. This is the most relevant question that Stephanie White has to answer and not be afraid to say in front of the team. Stop listening to Lynn Dunn, Stephanie. The woman is 91 years old, going on 92. Her time, I'm not saying her time is past, but you have to become your own coach. You trying to be this version of Lynn Dunn is not working. This is a new generation of kids. What worked in Lynn Dunn's era may work in small increments, very small increments. But you can't coach like that and be as successful. Not in this generation. You have to be straightforward with your team. Just like Cynthia's trying to lay out. She's telling you, she's giving you free game, Stephanie. I don't know. I mean, this is borderline a godsend. For her to sit up on this podcast and give you an opportunity to win a championship and win multiple championships if you're not afraid to follow this advice and build a team around Caitlyn Clark.
That's okay.
28 points, 44% from 3, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. She was just named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, Kelsey Mitchell.
Kelsey Mitchell. I think we need to start.
We know it's not just the week either.
Huh?
And we know her impact is not just for the week.
My point is,
Killer.
there is nothing wrong with Kelsey being your go-to player and Caitlyn being your star. It doesn't take away from Caitlyn's ability to do everything on the court. Caitlyn can score she can get to the rim, she can get to the free throw line, she can definitely knock down the 3-point. I mean, she can knock down that thing almost from half court, right? And she can lead your team in assists. She could go ahead and get a triple-double.
Yep. Right now.
Like that, she is a star. She is a walking star in this league.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that you have to go away from Kelsey Mitchell, who's a leader, who's consistent, and who's been there every single important moment.
Yes.
What say you, Fever Nation? Does she make sense? Is what she's saying apply to this team? If Stephanie does this, can this team win more games, win more effectively, win more efficiently? See, Stephanie is trying to game manage or minute manage this team. But if you learn how to play more efficiently with this roster, you don't have to restrict minutes of your superstar and other players on this team. We understand that, the women are built differently. Okay? The women are built slightly differently. And you're trying to make sure this team goes into the playoffs healthy. And I applaud you for that. But what if you could play more efficiently with what Cynthia, with what Coach Cooper, with what Hall of Fame WNBA player is offering, the advice she's offering? She's offering you an opportunity to figure out a way to play more efficiently, Stephanie. Use this team. You have the best, in my opinion, and I guess I'm being a little biased because I'm a Fever fan and a Clark Nation. The best backcourt in the W. You have the 2 most dangerous players in the W. Kels has the foot speed that's unmatched. Caitlyn has the game, the game smarts, the IQ that's off of the charts. If you can figure out a way to get these players to complement each other and not compete against each other, as some have accused you of doing when you were at that school, that college, when you were learning how to win on your own without Lynn Dunn. That was an opportunity for growth, Stephanie. Don't look back on that moment negatively as something you want to erase. That was an opportunity for growth. You were given an opportunity to grow as a person and a coach away from Lynn Dunn. Did you take advantage of that? Listen to what is being offered. Tell me or not if this makes sense to you.
Yep. Okay, I was asked this the other day, and I want to ask you, what does this Indiana Fever team look like without Caitlyn and with Caitlyn? Like how, and I feel like it's what you said, Kelsey Mitchell has to kind of be more prominent, more ball handling, more assertive with her scoring. But what do those two different teams look like? Because we've seen both.
Well, when you don't have Caitlyn, it's almost easier because you know who your go-to player is. When you have Caitlyn, now you have to balance it. Mm-hmm. And I akin it to Cheryl Swoops and Cynthia Cooper. Like, you have Tina Thompson, for goodness sake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, you have these three incredible players on your team, Hall of Famers on your team, but you still need to know the pecking order. Mm-hmm. You have to know the pecking order because every team is going to try to exploit it. Mm-hmm. Every single team, because you are the level that they want to be at, and so they're trying to pull you down or climb up. Mm-hmm. And you have to know in important moments where we're going, what we're doing, who we're going to. And that person sometimes isn't the one that shoots the ball. She just makes the play. It could be a dump off to Boston. It could be a dump off to a 3-point shot for Caitlyn. It could be a dump off for a 3-point shot from Kelsey. But you have to know what's happening. Like, what are we doing? Yeah.
Sounds like sage advice to me. Sounds like if somebody is listening, if somebody in that Fever organization front office is listening, since you all are so fond of former WNBA players who played the game at a very high level, what's wrong with this advice? Amber Cox. What's wrong with this advice? Kelly Croscott. Lynn Dunn, you can't argue with this. Just because it's not your idea, you can't argue with this. This, plop them out. You know, you get rid of it, get rid of weeds in the garden. That nonsense you were talking about on that show with those other coaches. You talking about potentially getting rid of Caitlin Clark because she's not a part of your culture. If your culture can't survive with Caitlin Clark, then you have the jacked up culture. If you're thinking of a culture without Caitlin Clark, then you need another culture. You need to retire and leave the game. You want to give back to the W? Leave the game. Get away from coaching because you're destroying an opportunity for your protege, for your understudy to grow on her own. She should be at a point in her career where she's just getting very little advice from you and doing what she needs to do to get this team a championship. She can win more championships than you ever dreamed, possibly if you get out of the way, Lynn Dunn, and let her coach. Stephanie, I'm gonna say what I gotta say when I need to say it, but in this case, I'm trying to help you out, Stephanie. The way you've been managing this team has been a little shady. You're trying to put other players ahead of your superstar because you're worried about their feelings. This is the pros. You all are professional WNBA basketball players. Check your feelings at the door. What Cynthia Cooper is trying to tell you, Stephanie, tell you, Indiana, if you coach this young lady the right way, good things are going to happen. Good things are going to be the result. You will be hanging that banner you talked about in your opening day press conference with the team. If you listen and pay attention. And I'm not trying to say totally abandon your mentor. But at some point, Stephanie, you got to grow on your own. Now is the time. Let's get to 5,000 subs, Clark Nation, Fever Nation. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. You all have a blessed day. I'm out.
The future is so bright, and our ultimate goal is to hang another banner.